it recording? Yes. Okay. That down.
Can you hear what I hear?
No, but I can hear you.
Let me fix my lighting.
Yeah.
Since we're recording at night, and so now we don't have extra sun in my room.
Yeah, I had to put a whole light over here.
Oh god. Oh, this chair on the ground seemed like the good idea at the time. Oh no. Woo.
Becca did a TikTok about this. I have this little thing that I just buzz my mustache off of.
Oh yeah.
You did a TikTok about this.
It's like, when did you do a TikTok about a vibrator?
No, I realized I turned it on and then I quickly turned it off and had that panic look and I was like, I know I can cut this out. But I also need to use this just because I think I have a little bit of a stash going. So I'm just going to turn it back on and then I'm going to talk about it.
But for reals though, I did do a TikTok about it. There was a TikTok. Some things like what did your parents or somebody say that messed you up? And I remembered sorry, mom. But this really did mess with us, and it even carried on into our high school where we have heavy Hispanic heritage, and one of the things was we have mustaches. And for me in particular, I also get a lot of chin hair.
I'm starting to.
Huh?
I just tweeze it. Every time I feel it, I just start tweezing it.
Yeah, so we get a lot of facial hair. And when it first started showing up, it wasn't as prominent, or at least for us, we didn't think it was as prominent. But for our mom, she was like, no, I see it. It's got to go. And what happens when you start waxing it, it starts to grow back either lighter, depending on who you are, either lighter or less often. But for us in particular, it grew back less often, but when it did grow back, it grew back darker. And so if we didn't keep up, people could see it. I mean, and so in high school, for me in particular, I had guys who would be like, you got a mustache, and would just make the biggest deal about it. And that was what my TikTok was about. So we've grown up to have
devices that just buzz it off.
Right, buzz it
off. Which is actually something that Aunt Jackie showed me, because she has something similar.
Yeah.
That one of our cousins got her.
Yeah.
And then I eventually told you about the little buzz thing that I have.
Well, I didn't get the buzz thing. I just got the razor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I ended up with, was getting the razor thing and getting this weird ass razor thing. And yeah, in between, if it's too short but I can see it growing in and I'm about to go out into public, now I don't have to worry about it so much because masks are wonderful.
Yes.
But now is I'll tweeze in between. Yeah. Shaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So roll intro.
That works.
I'm Rebeca.
And I'm Deanna. And we're
the Halfwit Sisters. All right, so welcome back. Originally, we had recorded a different episode, but we think that episode is trash, so that's not ever going to air.
I recorded, so I edited it today, and the entire time I'm talking, I'm just like, is my part over yet? And every time I look at yours, I'm like, you're wondering the same thing.
I'm not, actually. What I'm doing is like, I'm listening to you and I'm going, okay, okay. And then I was like, I realize I have nothing prepared for my side. And like, when we get, go
Mhm.
ahead. And then when we're getting, so DJ's side was talking about acting. Right, let's talk about the episode that will never be.
So I talked I talked about the different acting methods and actors and actresses who are known for it, but it's just like, it was all over the place and honestly not that entertaining.
Yeah, right, yeah. And then we got to me, and I was like, all right, I want to talk about some things about dyslexia, but it's honestly a bunch of crap. Crap.
What's
And like,
funny, I actually did enjoy your section because it talked on you and your experience with it, and I liked that section. But overall,
yeah, the rest of it was just like I'd gone and done a bunch of research, and it turned out the research was just as jumbling as the disorder itself. And when I tried to break down the research, it just didn't work. And so I was like, I got nothing for you. So our entire episode was just like, this.
yeah.
And so I immediately told you afterwards, I was like, the episode's trash. And you're like, no, I think it's fine. You messaged me and you're like, so that episode's trash.
Yeah. I was hoping, but like even going through it, I'm just like, I don't want to, like, the last few episodes, every once in a while, like I'd take a phrase and like put it out. There was nothing that I wanted to do on that. I was just bored. And if you thought our first episode was all over the place, at least it had substance.
At least there's something redeeming of it. So we talked about it. We're like, should we put this out? And then we're like, no. We're like, this is episode. We're like in our teens now, Deej.
Yeah.
In our
So that was supposed to be episode 18.
Yeah,
so this is now episode 18.
We're in our teens, and we're supposed to be adults, okay? Like, we know better, all right? Like, that's not where we're gonna go with this.
No.
So we're tossing that out. Maybe we'll go back to those topics. I did mention I do have a TikTok on it. I want to talk about dyslexia and like what I've learned of it, but I've got to digest that better before I start coming back. Like, I can talk about it from my viewpoint, but the way I was going at it was not the best. Not what I was thinking. Definitely not what I was thinking. But before we fully get in, let me drink some classic. Yeah, not a sponsor. Wish it was, but it's not.
But hey, if you want to.
I know. Hey, looking for some. What was I going to say? But before we jump into our episode today, which you and I are super excited about for whatever reason, but we're super excited about, DJ got a little bit nifty with her setup today.
Yes.
So I want her to talk about that.
Wait, hold on. Did that go? Did you hear it?
No, but the disappointment in your face when that happened was great because I know what you were going for.
Damn it.
Keep trying. We've got all the time in the world.
There it is.
I heard it slight. It was so quiet on my end.
Is that better?
Still quiet on my end, but I think it might be better on your end.
Hopefully. Well, hopefully it picks it up. If nothing else, it's fine. It's our first time using this. So yeah, I
just hurt myself. Oh.
I'd get up and get it, but this chair is like hard to move.
Drinking chocolate milk. Ow. Ow. Go.
We're amazing.
Okay, go.
So I have been recording off of a little off-brand GoPro that I had bought last year when we went on that cruise, right? And it was like not even $50. It's cheap. It doesn't film in 1080p like it says. I swear it only goes up to 720, which if you don't know what that means, that's just the quality of the video it records in. Well, I guess I dropped it one too many times because it's a knockoff. It needs a case, and it wasn't in a case. It was just on the tripod. So I finally got it to like connect to my computer, and it's just glitching. Complete glitching. And I was like, this is not going to work. And we have to record today. It didn't work yesterday, but I finally got it to connect today, and it's just like, this isn't working. So I was like, well, I've got to figure out a way to record my video somehow. So quick, literally 2 seconds of Google search. USB to PC, smartphone to webcam. And the Droid, not sponsored, but Droid Cam. It's an app on your phone, and then you also download the software into your computer. Connects your phone to your PC to make it a camera.
Mm-hmm.
So I currently have my mic, my phone propped up in a tripod with the camera, and it's covering half of my screen. The Skype going.
Excuse me. Well, at least it's working. You got something.
It's working. So
I said get nifty. You called me. I was like, I don't know what to do. I was like, get nifty. I'm gonna go eat.
I'm like, okay, I got like 10 minutes. So yeah. And then that little voice changer thing is something you sent me, that voice mod.
Yes. And the sound deck or whatever it's called. Deck.
Yeah,
deck.
Yeah, and like the streamer deck or something like that.
Yeah.
That's like an app you can have on your phone, or you can like buy a device for it for your counter for your desk. That's not something that we need to invest in right now.
I wasn't sure. To be honest, I'm like, I want to do more with our podcast and have some fun with it. And I'd known about streamer decks for a while. This is the stuff that like Twitch streamers or streamers in general have, like, that help them switch around and do really quick voice overs and things. But like just like a cheap one was like $70. Like have 4 buttons was like $70. And so of course my now freaking go-to for any sort of information is TikTok.
Dude, has a plethora of information.
A wealth of information. And I came across this one that was talking about, and I'll drop it down in the description below, but I came across this one TikTok that showed like a free download onto like an Android. Again, I can't remember the top of my head, but here's the name of it. DJ will just...
If you send me the TikTok, I'll just put it in right now.
Yay! Shout out to that person. Thanks. I even like put a comment in thanking them for that stuff. So shout out to that person. Super awesome that they let other people know like there's free alternatives. And then there was the voice mod stuff. And you went and bought it.
Yeah. So you sent it to me and I'm like, okay. And immediately I tried to do something that needed the pro account. And I was like, only to turn... I don't think I needed it. I just didn't look hard enough at the free account. But fuck it. Wait, hold on.
So good to know this. If we were ever to slowly start like monetizing our channel, beeping wouldn't be a thing. Like we wouldn't be allowed to beep because it would like demonetize our channel for some reason. I don't know what you're laughing so hard about. Is it just the beeping? You're so dumb.
So I bought it because it was just really amusing to me.
Yeah, so there's some stuff I thought we could have fun with, like
No, so
later
I
on.
bought it because it was $30 to have it for my lifetime. I was like, that, you know what, I can afford that. And
Yeah,
then I was
right.
able to go through and I was able to put our little interludes as little just key pins on my computer. So now instead of like trying to remember to put those in edit, I can just be like, oh, we're switching topics. One of my keys.
Yeah.
Which will make
even if
editing tiny bit easier.
Yeah, even if you can't hear it, you can still add it in after because you're like, oh, I hear it here. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So, look, we're growing. We've learned.
As I like slid backwards on my technology on my camera.
I mean, did you really though? Because this looks better quality than what you had before.
Yeah, probably not. This is a better quality camera. Like the GoPro worked for what it was. And if I can ever find the footage from that scuba diving thing that we did from the snorkeling, maybe I'll finally edit it and put it out. But like it's worked for what it is. I've done a couple shoots with it. It's, it's a secondary camera that I had and used, and it was great. And the fact that I dropped it one too many times, and that's fine.
I forgot to put my phone on do not disturb.
So yeah, I'm currently like surrounded by like wires and plugs, but it's fine.
Yeah. There's a whole other conversation I want to have about I've been slightly complaining about some jobs that I'm doing. And one of them in particular is about a job that I'm working at where I'm not entirely down with the way that they're running their business. But I don't want to get into it. I'm just like, person, why? So, okay. So,
but also,
yes.
Becca, if you do get the free version of this, then you'll be able to just like do this thing
whenever you want. Person, why?
So yes, look, we're growing, we're learning new things. This is like part of that process. I'm excited. Oh, yeah. Look at this. Look.
But Becca, I definitely suggest getting this. Just even if you like don't have to pay for it, you can just use the free stuff. I got the paid version, and we can do the paid stuff from my side. But for your side, that way, if you want to do those weird little voice tricks that you see in some of the like other podcasters or streamers or stuff, you can do it.
Yeah, no, that's what I want to do. Also, like, there's like I've been working in my head some like small little TikToks that I've been wanting to do, but I can't really record them on my phone, so I want to record them through my computer and do it that way. So using those little quick voice changers work a lot better for me.
You're supposed to be able to use this on TikTok too. Like record off of your phone and do it on TikTok and just post it to TikTok too. So
nice. New topic.
I'm really hoping that's recording it.
Well, you'll get the playback. You get it first. Okay. Oh, yes, here we go. All right. So, we are just some high energy today. The difference between us, like, recording as soon as we get up to, like, later on in the day. Alrighty. All right. So, our topic. Fan fiction. So, I guess you can put this TikTok in too. I came across this TikTok.
I have a hot take that nobody asked for about mental illness portrayal in fanfiction versus traditional publishing. There are a few things that fanfiction does better than traditional publishing, but I'm going to tell you the biggest one is the portrayal of mental illness. Traditionally published books get sanitized, whereas fanfiction is this raw projection of the author's self onto a character. Don't fucking lie to me, I do it too. So I can read about 1,000 fanfictions about Steve Rogers having a flashback because of his PTSD. But who do I have to fuck around here to find PTSD in fiction? It's not there. A lot of the content that I've read that's traditionally published does stuff like, she has anxiety and it's a little bit cute. It's not really a problem though. And then fanfiction will be like, what is the mental fallout of a superhero losing literally all of their friends? It's probably trauma. Meanwhile, traditionally published books cater to a neurotypical audience.
And there's a lot, and it's the TikTok that talks about how it's played already, but essentially kind of recapping because we haven't seen it in a while, but it's recapping how fanfiction has the ability to explore mental illnesses a lot better than traditional media, or in particular traditional publishing.
Yeah, it's also it's I swear there are some stories on there that if they just change the character name and they have their own story. It is such a well-crafted thing that came out of their love of one media thing. And dear God, I don't know anyone else, like this said, where you could read something with really bad grammar and still understand what's happening.
I mean, yes, your comprehension is put to the test.
Which reminds me, there was a fic that I had read years ago.
So, okay, wait, 1 second. So I wanna break this into stages.
Okay.
To make our thing digestible today, I posed these questions for us in our little thing. I did this on purpose. So let me go back to our little chatty thing. But I posed this. So before we fully get into it, I want us to break it into stages so that we know. So our viewers can get to understand why and how we started falling in love with fan fiction, and also why we still think fan fiction is such a big and important thing that people should consider. Okay. Is that good? Yeah?
Yeah.
You agree with me? All right.
Let's do this.
Let me find. I should have put the questions. Look, we're growing, but like we're still still like this. Where's those questions that I had listed out?
Because we are awesome.
I'm gonna apologize in advance for this episode with the amount of voice changing I might do.
All right. So the first question is why we got into fan fiction. Why we got into it. And I guess the best place to say is, when did we get into fan fiction?
Middle school.
Yes, I very well remember this. I can remember this because I have a slight story for this. I don't know exactly what fan fiction you were reading back in middle school, but I remember our parents being significantly upset that you were reading fan fiction because one of them happened to take a look at what you were reading. And it was just like, I do not like what she is reading. And this was back when we lived in Spain.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. So you were actually into fan fiction before I was.
Well, so what I was into first was actually Quizilla and the stories that people would post on there.
Mm-hmm.
From there, I found fanfiction.net.
Right.
And that's when I started getting into fan fiction. And I remember the first fan fictions I was reading were Naruto.
Yes, keep going.
But so yeah, and so that's when I started getting into it. I remember one of my friends was also really into it, and we would exchange stories. So if she was reading something that she thought was really cool, she'd hand it off to me and vice versa. Got us in trouble in Spanish class one time because we were passing a class. But yeah, so I first got into just web-based stuff that was posted on Quizilla, which I had found Quizilla because of doing quizzes online. And then I realized, oh, hey, people posted stories. Let me read these.
Right. So we've been around since like the internet was first starting. So we've seen a lot of evolution. But I would say like we never really got into technology until we moved to Spain.
I got into it a lot in Wisconsin.
Okay. Well, I feel like I didn't get into it. This is okay, backpedaling a little. I didn't get into it I got into games when we lived in Wisconsin, and then I got into computers when we lived in Spain, and that's more where I got into. I think I got more into anime in Spain.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I have such a blur of all my early stuff.
Well, like we said, we've been around since like the internet, but like really not, because we kind of skipped that dial tone.
We skipped that dial tone because we lived on Guam.
Yeah, so we skipped that dial tone, and I remember dial tone in Wisconsin because my friends had it. AOL, you know, the whole beep thing. And I was confused because we didn't have that. We were kids that played outside.
You might have been a little bit more than me, but I played online games in Wisconsin. So anyways, so we'd seen like the whole thing, but it was Spain where we started kind of getting more into things, because Spain, we didn't know the language.
We didn't know the language, and we didn't do as much outdoor things.
Yeah, and we didn't have that many friends. So fan fiction. So you got into it first. I got into it when we moved. Yeah, I got into it a little bit more. You introduced me to fanfiction.net. And immediately, like, the first thing I got into was Naruto. And I did straight to Naruto and Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! fanfiction. I was reading somewhere, and one of the ones that I remember was like was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fanfiction with him going to the dentist because he loved eating candy. And then we moved to Texas. We moved to Texas. I didn't read fanfiction as much after that.
I would also like to point out, I have always read fan fiction since I've seen it. And I found other sites that allow you to read it. Some that are like fan fiction where it's a wide base. Archive of Our Own is one of the newer ones that came out after fan fiction. It's still older, but it's
I would say it's one of the most popular ones. I know Wattpad is another one.
Wattpad. And there's like other, you know, blogs that have compilations of different stuff that people have submitted to them. And so I've always read it. But also fan fiction up until pretty recently was kind of this like, don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, have you heard about this fan fiction? Shh, type thing. And that's partly because some authors do not like it. They flat out have said, do not create work off of my work.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some authors that are just like, nah, do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and there, I know fanfiction.net on like their front page even has like a list of authors that have been like, don't even write for these or we will delete your stuff.
Yeah.
Like, don't even. So that, so going back like to me, because I'm important.
Okay.
So I got in 2011, I think it was 2010 or 2011. I forget the dates, but you can definitely find it. I started writing fan fiction. I think you tried to write fan fiction as well, didn't you?
Barely.
Yes,
I'm not a good writer.
I think you're okay. I think you're a better storyteller than you are a better writer.
Yeah, I think so.
And yes,
Sometimes.
people, there is a difference between the two, and I can go into that in a different time. But I started writing fan fiction. The reason why I started writing fan fiction was because I wanted to see if my people, I wanted to see if people would read my writing style. And it turns out they did. Yeah. It was pretty popular. Yeah. So, okay. So that's why we got into fan fiction. But what did we like about fan fiction?
It was really being able to read more of like the different ships we liked, or just about the world, and expanded on that, expanded on minor characters, or took our favorite characters and just went a different way with them. And it was just a lot of like being able to continue being in this world that we liked,
Mm-hmm.
and have more stories than what was available anywhere else. There's shows end, movies end, and you still want to be part of that world. You still want more of that. And fanfiction is a great way of not collaborating, being a community, having that community come together and just like expand it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, some of them, they just take the characters so that you have a visual of who those characters are, but create a completely different story.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear all they need to do is change the characters' names and put and self-publish it, because it is a beautifully crafted story. Others should work on their grammar, but you know, sometimes it's okay. Sometimes they're crack fics, which are poorly written stuff that is just like, we're going to do all these ridiculous things because it's amusing. And this is, I say sometimes they should work on their grammar or their tenses. Was reading a fan fiction, and I don't remember what it was about now, but I couldn't get over they kept switching tenses because English wasn't their first language. Granted, I only speak English. I really have nothing to say on this, but I couldn't get past it. And I was like, I love your story. Unfortunately for me, I can't keep going. Because my mind can't wrap around it. But you are an amazing storyteller. And I left that review, and they had responded as like, thank you so much. Hopefully you'll be able to read some of my other works where my English is better on those. And I was like, you know what? Years later, I came back to it. I saw this review. I was like, I go and read it again, and I'm like, yeah, I can see where I got annoyed of this when I was a kid. But I actually understand what's happening now, because my reading comprehension from reading all these kinds of fan fictions had gotten better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I was
you
able
really
to tell.
Yeah, you really have to, when it comes to I find when it came to fan fiction and reading, like, you really had to just let go.
Yeah.
Everything you hold dear to, like, grammar and proper. And this is coming from not a writer. This is coming from a dyslexic who, like, desperately needs certain rules in place in order to understand certain narratives. I've had to let go of a lot of stuff in order to read certain fan fictions. So, yeah, it's helped. What am I trying to say here? I think that's it.
Yeah.
You just have to let go.
Yeah, and when I read something, and now, like, when the tense changes, or when they use whatever poor grammar they use, my mind will sometimes just instantly correct it, because I'm like, oh, I know what they were trying to say. There are some times where it's just like, I have absolutely no clue what you meant to say here.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully it wasn't important. Let's move on.
I will say this, though. I am, as somebody who's worked so hard on my writing to get to the stage that I'm at, I do find that I'm a little bit unforgiving, because there are programs out there, and there are free grammar programs out there that do allow you to fix stuff like your tenses.
Yeah.
And for people to turn around and say, well, it's one thing to say, oh, English isn't my first language. Okay, that's fine. Right? But it's a completely other thing to just turn around and go, well, I don't have time for it.
Or
okay,
I don't have a beta.
Yeah, okay, but you have time to write a 109 chapter story?
Like, take the extra day, put it through the program.
Yes, and yes, we've seen fics that long.
Yes. We've seen fics that are longer.
Right.
I swear there's one fic that's still going on from when I was a kid.
So, okay, one of the things that I like is going back to that TikTok that there's exploration into different themes. And say what you want, there's also exploration into kinks. Okay? Say what you want. But if you want to, some of these writers will go and actually do their research on a kink. And if you want to kind of get an understanding, and that's your first, like, I've always wondered, and that sometimes fan fiction can be like your first step into knowing what that kink is. And then you can go from there, because they purposely find the name of that particular kink, and that's your first stepping stone for going to the next thing.
Yeah.
I know what I'm saying, people. I fully live by what I'm saying. Okay? There is a reason why I'm saying this, and you will know probably by next year why I'm mentioning these things. All right? DJ knows what I'm talking about.
Yep.
All right? There's an exploration into mental illnesses, exploration into, like, maybe there was a character and they had anxiety, but you didn't like the way they portrayed an anxiety in terms of the way the media showed it. So you wanted to, like, really be like, nah, this is how it goes. There's exploration into kinks. There's exploration into certain themes of romances. Like, let's say, let's go back to our whole thing about how we weren't happy that Legend of Korra didn't really explore the Asami and Korra story, right? Their whole love narrative. If you wanted something, you can go to fan fiction and find incredibly written stories that take and actually go, you know what? screw that bad narrative about Mako, and here's this full-on growth story about how these two met and how they came to fall in love with each other.
Yeah. If there's a relationship that you it's called shipping.
Yes, it's called shipping.
Like two characters who are either canon or non-canon. Canon meaning this is how it is in the story, and non-canon meaning not. A great example of this is with Avatar: The Last Airbender. Canon is Katara with Aang. Non-canon is Katara with Zuko. Zuthara.
Mm-hmm.
Zuthara, people. Come on. You can find fan fiction to do that. If you're wanting to look into LGBT with like your ships, you're like, but this guy totally radiated by energy. Well, you can probably find
Zuko with oh my god, what's the brother's name? Sokka. Zuko with Sokka.
You can find these.
Zutaka.
You can find these. So it's like if you want to go, and yeah, you can sometimes have to travel through a lot of poorly written ones or just ones that aren't the story that you want. But with thousands of stories out there, you will find one that you enjoy. And speaking of like exploring mental illness, I read one recently that goes into how Bucky from Avengers went from being the Winter Soldier to reclaiming who he is as a person. Beautiful. They research PTSD and brainwashing and all these things on things like the science of Tony Stark's brain thingy. I can't remember what it's called.
Yeah.
And how they would use that and had him have anxiety attacks and how people helped him out of it. And I'm like, well, damn, now I know if someone's having an anxiety attack, there's a couple actual tips and tricks in there that I know that I wish I would have known about sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much they explore and well-crafted stories of characters that you love going through stuff that you're like, I've gone through that, or I know people going through that. This makes it so much easier because I'm seeing it from their perspective, from a character that I love.
Right. Right. Where are we on time? How are we there on time? Oh, okay.
41.
I told you this is going to be the one. So, okay. So real briefly, I'm going to talk about how fanfiction helped me as a writer, if that's all right.
Yeah. So
I'm one of the writers where I launched my writing career out of fanfiction. I'm self-published. I've mentioned this before. I'm self-published. I'm an indie writer, but all of that started with fanfiction, and I gained a lot of my courage. Yeah. No, that's correct. I gained a lot of my courage and a lot of my
confidence.
Thank you. That's the word. It had a C in there. That's why courage came up first. I gained a lot of my courage and a lot of my confidence from fanfiction. When I first launched my Naruto fanfiction, it was very formulaic. First off, I'm going to be honest about it. I went and looked at what was the number one non-important character, but slightly still important character to Naruto, and that was Iruka. Then I went and looked at what was the number one thing that happens to Iruka that was the most read type of fic. That's him getting fucked up. So I wrote a story about Iruka getting fucked up. It grossed. The first time that I released it, it it had over 500,000 readers in the first 14 something chapters that I had posted. And that gave me a lot of confidence and a lot of courage to continue to pursue my career as a writer. Then, when we talk about growing and learning, I was getting a lot of reviews. I still have those reviews. I still have a lot of them. And I got one bad review. I was like, I'm not going to lie, I got up there on my chapters. I got to like chapter 42. And I got one bad review that was like, you got totally lazy. And I don't like this. And a whole bunch of other things that was just tearing me down. And I got angry. And I was like, oh yeah? Well, if you don't like it, then nobody's going to see it. And I deleted it. The entire fic. Couldn't even take one bad criticism. And this is how I learned how to take criticism and what it means to take criticism. Because when I took that in and I deleted my entire fic, I sat for 3 days going, I can't believe I just did that. And then I still had all those chapters because I wrote them somewhere else before I put them in. And then I went back and I read my entire fic up until the point that the lady told me I was shite. And I realized she was absolutely right. I had gotten lazy. I had let it go to my head that I was such a great writer that everybody would read whatever the hell I put it out. And that was wrong. So I rewrote chapters, got rid of all the cruddy bits, and I posted it back out. And it didn't get as near as much views as the first time that I put it out. But I had learned a lot of things from that first go around. I learned that people would read my writing. I learned how to take criticism, right? Even if people are just like, this sucks, there's still something to be said there. Maybe it's not the criticism that I'm looking for, but maybe that's giving me something to stop, right? It's telling me to at least stop once and read it again. What's happening in there? If I agree with them that it sucks, then I got to change something. But if I don't agree with them, if they're saying it sucks, I read through it and I go, nah, they're asses, and move on, then I'm good. But if they come at me and they go, it sucks, and here's the reason why, you did this, 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 and this, and I go back and I read it and I go, you're right, I did do this. This is how I can change it. This is how I can prove it. That's constructive criticism. And and there are so many people in fan fiction that will give you such great constructive criticism. That's another thing that you can take out of fan fiction. There are people that will give you incredible constructive criticism that will break it down for you as to why they didn't like your stuff. And it's not just because, well, you broke the character, you don't act like that. No. Some people are like, I completely understand, like, you writing this character, they're non-OC. But the story in chapter 20, you said this, and now we're in chapter 50, and he don't do that. Like, you totally said he never gonna do that, and now he doing that. Like, you right?
Dude,
I gotta fix that. Like, so I learned how to take criticism, what constructive criticism looked like, and also, like, how to really hone my own style. Incredible stuff. And I took that with me to the next stage of my career. Then I had somebody fuck me up with the next stage, but I got back on track. I feel like I've been getting back on track.
you have.
So now I'm getting into my next stage, and that's where you're going to be hearing more. And I have actually written some more fan fiction. I wrote a Borderlands fan fiction last year. That's out there. And yeah, I wrote a Borderlands fan fiction, so that's out there, so that's there. And I've been thinking about writing one for Destiny because I've been playing one too many Destiny games. So, so yes.
Just
so that's
slightly obsessed.
So that's what fan fiction has done personally for me as a writer. And for anybody who is like, well, I want to be a writer, but I don't know where to start or like how to even get started, I think fan fiction is actually a great place to start. It's low entry. It's low. The barrier to entry is so freaking low. It's start an account and post something. That's it. And there will always be one person that will read it. I have never seen any fan fiction that hasn't at least had at least 5 people read it.
Yeah, unless you're sorting by newest, in which case you might find one that has like no views because they just posted it. But within the first hour, there's always at least one view.
Right. There's always so many. And the better, and you got to use your tags. That's it. That's like, it's so low to entry. The only thing you got to be able to do, know your character that you're writing for. If you're writing for a character or if you're writing for a certain fandom, know what that fandom is.
Yeah.
Make sure you use the right tags.
With fanfic, it's genre, it's first and second genre, your characters.
It goes all the way down to platform. Like if you're looking at HO3, look at how other fanfics, especially in the fandom that you're writing for, look at how they're doing their tags.
Yeah.
Look at
I
that.
know Archive, you can go out on their tags of going right down until to the very specific, this guy's a jerk.
I want to read a jerky fanfic about this dude. Yes. So you just look at the ways certain things are tagged and go from there. So it's write it, post it, tag it. And that's it. Summary, that's it. It is such a low barrier. And then after that, you get a review. Somebody's going to review it.
Yeah. And again,
people can be mean.
Yeah.
So
sometimes your first review might not be great. That's okay. Like Becca said, go back, read it. What did you do? Is this person just being mean?
Yeah,
it happens.
It's always with anything, you take it with a grain of salt. Always with anything. Like even if you were to bring it to me and say, hey, I really want your honest opinion on something that I wrote. Give me your honest opinion. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think, but I'm also going to tell you, take it with a grain of salt. Because my taste and how I like things written, especially if you bring to me something that is first person, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I absolutely hate first person. I have written in first person. I have a lot of stuff that is in first person. I have some books that are in first person, but I hate first person to the core.
You know what I hate even more than first person? Second person. I'm sorry, you do not know how I would react.
Oh my gosh. That's those insert fix?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking? Yeah, I can't stand insert fix. Okay. There are 2 things that if you read it to me, there are 2
things. So there are stories out there where they're like, it's you, the reader, who's this character, and so we're just gonna, you did this and you did this, and I'm like, I would much rather you take that fix. So some, I'm sure, can be like super cool and well written. I would rather you take it and just make it vague. So nothing like you brushed back your hair. Make it like, take the challenge of your gloved hand or a gloved hand pushing back hair behind the ear or something like that, of just like taking out the second person.
So the reason why you can't now, okay, sidebar.
It's a challenge, Becca.
But it's you have to have a subject. You have to have a subject.
Yes,
That's the problem.
following a subject, but like seeing how far you can go without having to use a you.
So I get where you're coming from. It's much easier if they wrote it from a first person perspective. Actually, if they moved it into a first person perspective, push the gloved hand through the hair, right? Then you can actually move into the vague style that you're talking about, right? Push the gloved hand through the hair, pull the shirt down, right? That's a lot easier to do it. So if you want them, like, I want you to do it from a vague perspective, do it with the idea that you're writing in a first person perspective.
It's a challenge for any writers out there. Give me vagueness.
So anyways, as we were saying, sidebar over.
I demand the vague story.
Write it yourself.
Never.
So anyways, so bringing it back down, things to leave off on. If you are a writer trying to decide how to start and you don't know where to start, fanfiction, I think, is a great avenue to even get your foot in the door, right? Just to test yourself. I think that's a great place. I think that's a great testing ground. We like fanfiction. Second thing to know, we like fanfiction. We like it for a lot of reasons. DJ?
I like exploring ships or just characters that I didn't get to do before. Expanding on the world.
I like it for the different themes that you can go through and the different kinks you can explore. It's like I'm not shying away from it. You may ask me to, but I won't. Like those are some fun, like, fanfiction is fun to see what comes out of other people's head and enjoy just the madness that it can be.
Those head canons you had, the things that you like, this is totally canon in my head. Other people probably have that same head canon, and you can expand on it. Conspiracy theories and like Santa Claus, there's probably fanfic about it.
Yes. So here's what we want to see. Do you like fanfiction? Is there a fanfiction that's still on your mind to this day that you might have read like years ago? And we're never going to ask for links to things because that just opens up a can of worms. But can you tell us what is the worst fanfiction and the greatest fanfiction you have ever read? That isn't My Immortal Soul. Isn't My Immortal Soul.
I think that is hands down the one that everyone says is. Some girl on TikTok is going through and like reading excerpts of it.
Yeah. I thought there was somebody making a play out of it.
I'm probably.
I know thing, but and the thing. Anyways, that's what we'd love to see down in the comment section below, and you know what to do.
Like, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon so you know what to do
when our videos are coming out, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.
Goodbye.